So once again, today we're going to learn how to factor quadratic trinomials. And today it's really easy. The a value is 1. It's always going to be 1 on today's worksheet. But we might as well give you the full instruction on how to solve any quadratic trinomial that has a values other than 1, that are factorable, of course. So step 1 is to multiply a times c. So whatever number you have, the coefficient of x squared, your leading coefficient is a, and your constant is c. So you actually need to multiply this guy times this guy. And like I said, on today's beginning problems, the a will always be 1. So 1 times whatever this number is, you're really going to be just thinking of c, right? Because 1 times c is going to be c. Step 2 is to think of the multiples of that number, of the answer you got from step 1, that combine to give you the middle value b. So you want to think of what times what is the answer to this guy that if you combine gives you the middle value b. You may have to make a list. And step 3 is to take that pair of numbers from your list that work from step 2 and rewrite this number as those two numbers, thus changing your trinomial to a polynomial, 4 terms. Step 4 is to factor by grouping, which is really that 3-step process. I know that these notes sound like it's going to be very difficult, but it's not. Check it out. Number 1, and I hope you guys already copied them down, okay? Step 1 is to do what? A times c. So ladies and gentlemen, we have an a right here, a b right here, and a c right here. The a value happens to be 1, okay, because there is no a value. And like I said, on all of these beginning problems, on this whole worksheet, we're not going to jump to numbers for a till next week. But right now, all we're worried about is a times c. That's 1 times 27. So it's a good idea to even show your steps. Step 1, 1 times 27. That's a times c. What do we get? We get 27, right? So technically, this is our answer for step 1. Now step 2 is what times what gives us 27 that if I combine gives me 12. Now, it also says make a list. So if you don't see the answer 9 and 3 already, let's make a list. How could we get 27? Bless you. We could go 1 times 27. We could go 2 times, no, that doesn't work. How about 3? 3 times something give you 27? 3 times 9, right? 4 times something, no. 5 times something, no. 6 times something, no. 7, okay, so that's pretty much it. It's either going to be 1 times 27 or 3 times 9, right? So which pair of numbers combines to give you the middle value b? It would be 3 and 9. Because if you add 1 and 27, that gives you 28, and this obviously is not 28. But if you add 3 and 9, if you combine 3 and 9 together, that does give you 12. So our answer for step 2 is 3 and 9. Okay? The answer for step 1 was 27, and then we thought of the multiples of 27. We made a list, and we found out which pair of numbers combines to give us the middle value b, which is 12. Okay? And now it's time for step 3. And step 3, if you read above, is to convert your middle value, which in this case is 12, and rewrite it as the pair of numbers from step 2, which is 3 and 9. Okay, so this is going to sound weird, but you're going to rewrite this quadratic trinomial, but instead of a trinomial, you want a polynomial. So you're first going to have the h squared. Now, instead of the positive 12h, I'm going to convert that to the 3 and 9. So check this out. Instead of positive 12h, I want to go positive 3h plus 9h. I converted my binomial to a trinomial. And we still have the plus 27 at the very end. Are you with me? Now, why the heck would I do that? To be able to factor by grouping. So if I were to look at my first group, what could I pull out of the first 2 terms that's in common? What's in common in the first 2 terms? H. So if I pull out an h, what would be left on the inside? H plus 3. And now let's look at the second group. What could I pull out of the second group? A 9, right? A positive 9. To be more precise. And what would be left on the inside of the parentheses in the second group? H plus 3 also. You guys see how we're factoring by grouping? So now we're going to pull out what's in common in both groups. Your H plus 3, we're going to pull it out here to the front. So let me put that H plus 3 out here. Let me stay color coordinated. H plus 3 in blue. And what are we going to have left on the inside? H plus 9. So ladies and gentlemen, we have factored. The final factored form of number 1 is H plus 3, H plus 9. I kind of feel bad that we're doing this because it's really a long process that's going to help you in the long run, but there's this way quicker route to do this problem. Should we go with the quicker route?
Yes.
But do you guys understand the long route?
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? Let's do one more. Let's do one more with this long route, and then we'll go over the quicker route, yeah? Okay, so number 2. Now you guys should have your notes already. The notes are right there. Step 1, multiply A times C. Step 2, make a list, right? And maybe on your notes you want to underline make a list. Okay? And what kind of list? You want to think of the multiples of the number from step 1 that combine to give you the middle value B. If you make a list, it'll be easier to see which pair of numbers combines to give you the middle number B. Once you find that pair of numbers, you jump to step 3 and you change your middle term into 2 terms, thus creating your trinomial to a polynomial, 4 terms, and then you factor by grouping at the very end. So let's jump back to number 2. And step 1 is to multiply A times C. What do I get when I multiply 1 times negative 63? Negative 63. Okay, so now, step 2, I told you to underline make a list. Let's make a list of how to get negative 63. So how can I get negative 63? Obviously, negative 1 times 63. How about negative 2? Negative 2 times something give you 63? No. How about negative 3? Negative 3 times 21. Okay. Negative 4, will that work? No. Negative 5, negative 6, negative 7. What? Negative 8, negative 9. So you see how in my mind I'm going through all the numbers. So negative 9 works, right? Negative 9 times what?
7.
Times 7. Okay. Negative 10? No. Negative, and that's it, right? If you just think about all the numbers, negative 1 times something, negative 2 times something, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. I got to negative 9. Yeah, negative 9 times 7 works. Now, what's the purpose of making this list? I need to find the pair of numbers that combines to give us the middle value. And in this case, the middle value is negative 2, right? Okay, so which pair of numbers is it? Negative 9 and positive 7. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if this would have been a positive 2 up here, then you'd have the right numbers, but you'd have to change the signs, right? Right here it works because negative 9 times 7, that really is negative 63. And if you combine them, it really does give you negative 2. So this is the perfect pair of numbers. So step 3 is to rewrite your trinomial, but make it a polynomial. So you're going to write g squared, this is step 3 by the way, g squared, and instead of minus 2g, we're going to write minus 9g plus 7g. Right? Because minus 9g plus 7g is really the negative 2g that you had originally. And then you have the minus 63 at the very end. And now you could factor by grouping. If you look at your first group, what could you pull out of there? What's in common in g squared minus 9g? That would be a g. What would be left? G minus 9. And in the second group, if you pulled that, what could you pull out of the second group? Out of the 7g and the minus 63? You can pull out a 7. So let me pull out a positive 7. And what would be left? A g minus 9 also. And then we take a step back and realize that there's the common binomial in both terms. We're going to pull that out. So you're going to have on the outside a g minus 9. And on the inside, you're going to have what left over? G plus 7. I didn't do the exaggerated parentheses this time. I took out the binomial. What's left? A g and a plus 7. That's factored form, guys. Okay, like I said, we need to understand these notes. We need to understand this process. But there's a quicker way. There's a quicker way, but this shortcut only works when your a value is 1. Okay, this shortcut only works when your a value is 1. Okay, so on all of these, like I said, on all of these, your a value is 1. So how about you guys copy down number 3, and also let's jot down these shortcut notes. Here are the shortcut notes. Step 1 is simply to think what times what is C that if you combine gives you B, and you might have to make a list, but once you find that pair of numbers, all you got to do is plug it into your answer format. Now your answer format is going to be a binomial times a binomial. And most of the time we have x's. That's why down here I have x and x. But if you have y's, instead of x's, you're going to have y's. Now, why is it that we could always just do parentheses, y, y? Because y times y is y squared. So that's why we could set it up like this always, because there is no number in front. Now, if there was an 8 right here, we couldn't do this because y times y is not 8y squared. So because there's a 1 as the a value, you could set up this factored format, and then you could just think of the multiples. What times what is negative 60? That if you add together is positive 4. And you're done. So let's make that list. How could we get negative 60? Well, negative 1 times 60, or negative 2 times 30, negative 3 times 20, negative 4 times 15, negative 5 times 12, negative 6 times 10, negative, what else? 7, negative 8, nope, negative 9, no, that's it. We went through all the possible multiples right there. So which pair of numbers combines together to give us B? Negative 6 times 10. And guess what? We're done. All we need to do is take that pair of numbers, the negative 6, put it right there, and the 10, and put it right there. So we really have y minus 6 times y minus 10. Boom. Shortcut. Yeah, positive 10, sorry. Shortcut.
So you can only do this with the 1 in front of the y?
Yeah, so if your a value is 1 and your standard form, if your a value is 1, you could use a shortcut. But, sorry to say, that if your a value is not 1, right? If your a value is not 1, like up here, if this a value were an 8, or if it were a 12, or even a 4 or a 2, then you got to go through this long process that's still understandable, but the shortcut's a lot easier when your a value is 1. And since this whole worksheet is about a value being 1, we might as well jump to it. So you could get your notes that you just copied down for the shortcut. It simply says you're going to end up with this, and right here, and right there. And what does the note say? Step 1 says, think of the multiples of the C value that combine together to give you the B value. You might have to make a list. All right, let's make a list. Negative 1 times 28. If I add those, do I get negative 3? No, I get 27. So that didn't work. How about negative 2 times 14? If I add those, do I get the middle value, negative 3? No, so that's not it. Okay, how about negative 3? Negative 3 times something give me 28? No. How about negative 4? Negative 4 times 7, right? Negative 4 times 7. If I add those, does that give me negative 3? It gives you a positive 3. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is very important here. This is the right pair of numbers, but it has the wrong sign, right? Or the wrong signs. Because if I add these guys, I get a positive 3, and I know that I need a negative 3. So what does that mean? I have the right numbers, I just have the wrong signs. So let's go ahead and change the signs, make that a positive 4, make that a negative 7. Because positive 4 times negative 7, that really is negative 28. And if I combine them now, it really does give me a negative 3. So the correct pair of numbers that we're going to be plugging in is going to be a plus 4 and a minus 7. Make sense? Okay, so that's a shortcut. Let's continue with the next video, practicing the shortcut.